People always say, don't do this, don't do that, because I love you. You know, you don't have to do this to prove yourself. You don't need to do this base jump. You don't have to host this event. You don't need to break this rule. You don't need to do this free solo. Like, all I ever felt from the entire culture, from everyone, was resistance. It wasn't about being supported. It was about being held back. It's about saying, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway. And a lot of that time, it's to yourself. Saying, fuck you, I believe in myself. And that turns into not being receptive to any kind of constructive criticism at all. I would say the biggest insecurity about my character right now is that I'm very reactive, is that I have a hard time controlling my emotional response. Many of the things, the greatest downfalls in my career, were not intentional. They were unintentional. Loss of control through reaction. I think the Sketchy Andy character, regardless of if it serves me or not, is part of who I am. And that's why it's hard to escape from, because everybody loves safety and rules and ropes and standards, but everybody also watches the movie Free Solo. People love risk. People love mistakes. People love drama. This is why TV is littered with just ridiculous drama and tragedy, and why that is what captivates our spirit, is because it is almost easier and more fun to watch someone fail than it is to watch someone succeed. Who am I to me is not who I am to other people. And I don't think that a lot of people have seen the work that I've put in. They've just seen the outcome that I've presented. I do like chaos. Every law in mathematics seems to have an exception to the rule. And what's important about rules when there's exceptions involved? There is this glorification in counterculture. There is like this glory of being able to break the rules, and base jumping only being allowed to those who deserve it. And it wasn't like you could just go buy a rig or like learn how to slackline. There was no slackline culture. There was no base jumping culture. There was like a couple hundred people at most, you know, maybe 1,000 people. And we're talking about in the whole world. So getting into these sports was not just a thing you did, it was something you earned. Back in the day, it was all about scofflaw. That was like 5'10", when 5'10" was this rugged monkey attitude where it was like run from the Rangers, break the rules, like all for one and one for all kind of thing. And like there was like this team of pirates. It was like the age of pirates. To me, I know, it was more the storyteller and the captivator, the making people laugh, but having the story be just as important as the activity. Dean Potter was more the artist, who said that the art is not in just doing the thing, but in creating the image. Ammon McNeely kind of was the man who was about doing it for the sake of doing it, and whether or not it gets captured is not important, because the story will outlive any image. Sketchy Andy as a social mechanism is destructive. And so anybody who says anything about me usually starts it off with, oh yeah, he's an incredible athlete, but he's a horrible person. And maybe I'm not recognizing myself for the things that I've done and the patterns that I hold. And holding myself accountable for that is hard, because regardless of the progress you make, it's not up to other people to forgive you. I always want to be chasing someone, and that someone is me in 10 years. And he's my hero, the person I see in 10 years, but I'll never meet my hero, because in 10 years, my hero will be 10 years ahead of me. And so that constant chase is both stimulating and exhausting. But there's definitely, obviously, this beckoning voice being like, what's next? Who are you? In the beginning, I was sharing the language of slacklining. I wanted to name tricks and show people movements and basically give them the video game codes. Like, could I set the world record high line again and go and make the funding and find the place and train the line and go out there and do it? Like, yes, absolutely. Do I want to? Not really. I've done that. I've sacrificed the energy. I know how that feels. I'd like to go in a different direction. Like, all the effort and energy we put into it made all this stuff possible. We figured out the rigging. We figured out how to do all this stuff. And the joy was in figuring it out. Something is impossible until you can believe that it's possible. And once you believe that it's possible, you will work hard enough until it is possible.